everyone. This is Kelly Calabrese here with Christian Beaudry. Am I saying that correct, Christian?
Yes, you are, Kelly. Good morning.
Okay. So we are so excited to be here with you today to do this Facebook Live for you. So we're bringing Christian to you, who is our Chief Science Officer with Equine Amnio Solutions, and he is also the creator of our product, Renovo, which we are just so proud of, and we want to thank you for joining us live today. If you're catching the replay, please do ask any questions later. We'll be checking back in, and we love to hear your questions. We're both science nerds. The science excites us. We hope that it excites you too, because we do want to educate you, so we plan to do more talks like this, so please do tune in live if you can. We always love to see you out there. So Christian, our Chief Science Officer, such a pleasure and a blessing to have you today. Can you tell us a little bit of your story and how you got here?
Yes, again, Kelly, thank you for doing this. It's my pleasure to talk to you guys about Renovo. So I'm actually originally from Canada. I've been in the US for 21 years now. I spent about the first 12 years of doing cancer research, cancer cell biology work, proteomics, gene expression profiling, all of that for various type of cancers. And about 10 years ago, I left the non-for-profit organizations doing cancer research into the private world, where I did a lot of stem cell research and also developed human amnion-based products. Did that for about 7 years. And then about 3 years ago or so, I formed the company, Ecos Innovations, and now we are a partner with Equine Amnio Solutions to develop the Renovo product. So Renovo was really developed based on what I've learned over the last 20 years to ensure that all the proteins have been optimized, the process has been optimized to retain all of those bacterial proteins that are relevant to tissue healing. So that's kind of in a nutshell, my background, and here I am today talking to you guys about Renovo.
Background, and we're so thankful to have you leading the team out there in the science. And we know you've spoken not only all over the country, but all over the world, and we'll be letting people know, when you're speaking and where. And we're thankful that so many events are virtual now and people can tune in. So we'll be posting your live speaking schedule. So today our topic is about really the difference between PRP and our product Renovo. And so maybe you can start with what is PRP, because that's kind of the word out there that I think a lot of people know or think of when they think of these products.
Yeah, very good. So PRP stands for platelet-rich plasma. It's a blood product. It's actually been used on the human side for many, many years. This is not a new technology. It's been around for 20 years or so, if not more. And it has also been adopted on the animal side to be used in horses. So platelet-rich plasma is basically taking the patient's own blood, the horse's own blood, and then using a centrifuge tube and centrifuge to spin down the blood to basically collect the platelets. And the platelets are known to contain growth factors, cytokines, basically proteins that are essential to help heal tissues. So when you do PRP, you basically take 40, 50, 60 mils of the patient's own blood, spit it down into a centrifuge tube. It takes about 20, 30 minutes to do. And then you collect that platelets preparation, and then you put it back into the patients. And the idea is that the platelets will release growth factors that can actually help with injured tissues. So that's really what PRP is. It's a blood product.
Okay, so obviously you created Renovo because there was something about PRP that was lacking and something about Renovo that's better. So tell us about the differences.
So Renovo is derived from equine bird tissues, amniotic fluid and amniotic membrane, the sac that surrounds the foal. So those, and the fluid as well. So those tissues are also a very rich source of proteins that have many functions that play a role in inflammation modulation, also that have properties such as antibacterial, antifibrotic, basically inhibits scar tissue formation. And those are all characteristics of the proteins that are naturally found in amniotic tissues, both fluid and membrane. So those tissues are utilized and process in my lab here in Phoenix to make the Renovo product. And what's special about it is the process was developed to ensure that all those proteins that are naturally found in those tissues are retained throughout the process and not denatured. So basically, they are bioactive. And because it's amniotic fluid, amniotic tissue, it is not a blood product per se. So there's no blood cell components to it. And also, Renovo has a larger amount of proteins. Those tissues are known to contain a wide range of different proteins. Again, not just the proteins that are found in platelets, but beyond that. So it has a larger amount, wider range of proteins that play different functions. So those are the main differences between really PRP, which is a blood product, versus Renovo, which is an amniotic fluid product and amniotic membrane product that has a larger array and a larger amount of those proteins.
So the protein variability is definitely one of the differentiators.
It is because Renovo is manufactured following very strict, protocols. So we are able to make a consistent product from batch to batch to minimize variations between the different protein concentrations. So there's going to be some intrinsic variation because not all tissues are the same. But overall, we are able to manufacture this in a pretty consistent manner. So we have more or less the same amount of proteins. PRP, because it's a blood product, the output really depends on how much blood you get, how much platelets are in your preparation, and how much growth factors are contained within those platelets. So basically, what you take out of the horse and put back in depends on what you have to start with. And there's basically some natural variations because of not just variations between blood, but also between patients. And on the human side, it's been demonstrated that also age will play a role as far as how many growth factors you'll have in PRP preparation, the health of the patient also, and things like that. So you have a wider variation when you use blood products compared to Renovo because it's manufactured following good tissue practices in a very stringent protocol to ensure consistency between batches.
Wow, well, those are a lot of great benefits. So if I'm at my vet and I have the choice of asking for Renovo or PRP, what would be some other advantages of asking for Renovo?
So Renovo, like I mentioned, it has less variability. From patient to patient, you may get more or less, the same delivery of those proteins. But also, it's an off-the-shelf product. The veterinarians basically we ship it overnight to them, or they can keep it in their freezer if they have one. It is a cryopreserved product that gets thawed out right before it's being used. So it's a 5-minute procedure for the veterinarians to use it. PRP, it's more like half an hour that it takes or longer to actually get it. So it's easier for the veterinarians to use. But also PRP, often they're going to actually do multiple administrations over several weeks time frame. So you may have to bring the horse back for second implantation or third implantation, and Renovo is actually being just done once. And again, it's literally like a 5-minute procedure for the veterinarian.
Wow. So obviously there's a cost for that. Taking time, going back to the vet multiple times, loading the horse. So there's those additional costs. So ease of use would be another thing to talk about in Renovo versus the PRP. Are there any other things that you would want to share about the ease of use between the two?
I mean, definitely ease of use is you don't have to bring the horse back if it requires a second dose or third administration. So that's a big advantage for the client. So bring the horse to the veterinarian, do the procedure, and just go back. And also because there's no blood components in Renovo, you don't have the risk of having a reaction to the blood cells that you may get from PRP. Doesn't mean that you're going to get them with PRP, but those risks are mitigated because Renovo does not have basically blood components, so there's no blood cells to it. And those are I will say the main advantage: ease of use, consistency between protein concentration between different products, and also you don't have to do 2 or 3 administrations that you may do with PRP over weeks period of time. compared, with Renovo is basically, it's been administered one time by the veterinarians. There might be a need for a second dose down, a couple of months later, but depends on the injury as well, obviously.
Okay, yeah, and someone was asking, and you just answered that, are most treatments only one time? And the answer is yes, unless maybe there's another problem, or what would be a reason for a second time?
Yeah, Renovo has been used to date in about 3,000 horses. And obviously, I'm not the veterinarian. I don't administer the product, but I do hear from veterinarians on how things went. And I will say in most cases, it's kind of a one-time administration. Obviously, the horses will re-injure at some point. If it's a very severe injury, maybe 6 months later, the veterinarians may decide that it's not completely resolved. They may decide to use a second administration, but in most cases, it's been one time.
Okay. Is there any special training that a vet would need to administer Renovo? It's pretty straightforward.
It's pretty straightforward. The veterinarians are really used to using those type of products, PRP, IRAB, ProStride, stem cells as well. So Renovo fits right into their toolbox. It's easy. Again, it just takes literally 5 minutes time from them to do it. It's implanted with basically with a syringe into the area of interest. It's a 5-minute procedure, and I'm happy to talk to any veterinarians about the science behind it, to basically educate them on what is Renovo. So I'm always, talking to veterinarians on a weekly basis to basically tell them what's the key characteristics of Renovo compared to what they're already using. So that helps a lot as well for them to then understand what it is. So when they use it for the patients, they can basically tell them, what the differences are as well.
Okay. So you mentioned the freezer and the importance of keeping the products frozen. Are all similar products frozen like Renovo is, or is that something that's very, important and specific to the Renovo product being frozen?
So the Renovo is frozen at -80 Celsius to keep the protein stable over time. Proteins are very sensitive to being denatured, and different temperature variations will actually denature proteins. PRP and blood products are processed at room temperature, administered at room temperature, but for the second or third administration, usually those products will be stored in the freezer until a second or third implantation is required. So those products will still go in the freezer at some point if they're not being used at the point of care or the day of the administration. Other products that are refrigerated, room temperature, those have suboptimal conditions to keep proteins stable and bioactive. So proteins will denature very quickly under those conditions. So that's why we actually keep Renovo frozen, to keep those proteins stable over time. So when the veterinarian is using it, then those proteins are as active as they were before processing those tissues.
That's excellent information. And I know there's a lot of information too on the website. So we want to send vets to renovoequine.com. And I know some of the research papers are posted there. I know we don't want to give too much away, but we have some exciting research that's coming out. We have some exciting research that's about to start. So we want to invite you to continue tuning back in as we do more of these science talks. If you have any questions, please do post them here if you're live, and otherwise we will absolutely check back. And keep telling your vets about Renovo. If they don't know about Renovo, send them to the website. Also, I'll give the phone number here, 501-708-5000 is a good place for them to go. And we love to talk to your vets. We are committed to helping more people learn about Renovo. We're just so excited about the results that we're seeing. And Christian, any last words that you want to share with our viewers out there?
No, thank you for listening. Again, I'm available to talk to anybody about the product in more details, and also to your veterinarians. And we are, like Kelly mentioned, we are moving the science forward, both basic science and clinical science. We have a very large studies about to get published, and we're also going to start a new study very soon to further evaluate the product clinically. So it's all good things happening with Renovo right now. So again, thanks for watching.
Yeah, that is exciting. So continue to invite your friends, all of your equine friends, to come to this page. We'll be sharing more information with you here. We want to know what you want to hear about. We want to answer your questions. We're going to keep you updated on some exciting things that are in the works with Renovo and Equine Amnio Solutions. So thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you all. Have a great day. Thank you, Christian.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good day.